After we'd finished the formal portion of that first interview, Morrie and I continued to chat while the cameraman was shooting a different angle. Later, when I heard what was on the tape, I called Morrie to ask if we could use it, and he agreed.
Are you going to be able to stay at home until the end?
I'm going to stay at home till I die. I'm not going anywhere. That's our understanding. I'm going to die right here. I'm not going to the hospital. So no, indeed, I'm going to stay home as long as I can. Now, maybe the last few days, what have you, I can't, but that'll be a few days only.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll tell you a secret. When I go to the hospital, I'll be able to get the lethal dose that I want at that last moment.
We were actually waiting for Morrie's condition to worsen significantly before flying up to Boston to record a second interview, but he called me in May and expressed concern about how much longer he'd be able to speak. He'd gotten a lot of good reaction to the first program back in March, and frankly, I think he was just a little eager to do another one.
How you doing?
I went back to see Morrie a few days ago because he called to say that he didn't know how much longer he would have the ability to speak.
You look fine.
That's what everybody tells me.
You sound fine.
That's what everybody tells me.
So how do you know that things are going downhill?
Nobody can know it but I. I know it, one, that my swallowing is more difficult now. I cough a lot. I sometimes have to chew my food very, very finely to get it down. And I don't know how long that'll last, but that's the first big thing. The second big thing is that my voice is somewhat slurred. You may not hear it, but when I make the L sounds, it gets into the throat rather than out there. Slurred. That's also the beginning signs of losing your voice, losing my voice. And I figured, Ted, if you're going to come back without having a voice, it's not going to do you much good.
What about your hands, Morrie? We had that delicate standard that you and I set, the ass-wiping standard.
Still doing it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you. However, it is getting more and more difficult for me to feed myself. I can, for example, I can hardly get around here when I shave in the morning, and when I eat, if the table is too low, I cannot lift it all the way. There's like a big weight on my hands. So those are the significant changes that have occurred since you left.
What do the medical experts tell you? I mean, what is the timetable?
They do not know. They do not know. ALS is very unpredictable. But my guess is the losses will come within maximum of 3 to 6 months. And but they really don't know.
Emotionally, how do you feel?
Very high.
Very high?
Yeah.
Is that a constant?
Not a constant, but I go up and down, of course. Here's how emotions go. When I have people and friends here, of which I have a large number, I'm usually very up, because interaction and relationships and the loving relationships I have just maintain me. They just keep me alive in a very, very vital way. Now, there are days when I'm depressed. Let me not deceive you. When I see my hands going, a certain dread arises in me. What am I going to do without my hands? I'll have no control anymore. Control, either physical control or command, well, that'll come to the voice, or command control when my voice goes. So there are a lot of things that are happening. The voice and the hands, the swallowing, I don't care so much about, so they'll feed me through a tube. But these two things are such an essential part of me. I'm a Jewish man. I talk with my hands, you know, and I have Jewish inflections sometimes. I like to use Yiddish words. That'll be all gone. What do I do? And how will I be?
Talk to me a little bit about just contemplating silence.
The fact of the matter is, all my life, I have expected to talk. ever since I learned how to talk. And that expectation is ingrained in me. Just like you expect to live, then when you have to face non-living or non-talking, it's a tremendous shock. So I'm saying to myself, what will it be like when I cannot articulate anything, when I can't give a command or control or ask for something or say something that is in my heart or in my head? I don't know what it will be like. But I'm also saying, hey, it'll be terrible for a while. I'll probably be depressed for a while. I'm going to find a way to take advantage of silence, because maybe that's the way to really hear yourself, and maybe that's the way to really hear some of these spiritual things I've been concerned about and involved with in terms of the meditative practice.
One of my colleagues, Dan, was talking to one of your friends who told him that he is going deaf, and that you, as you have just told us, are now contemplating what it is going to be like being without speech. And so he spoke of this anticipated moment in both your lives when he, without hearing, and you, without speech, will be sitting there together contemplating. What do you think that's going to be like?
There's going to be lots of love passing between us. And you don't need speech or hearing for that. And I know about whom you're talking, my dear friend Morrie Stein. And Morrie and Stein and I have had a 35-year relationship, and we may not need speech or hearing. We just may need to be in each other's presence, in which we experience the depth of our feeling for each other. Now, that might not be enough, but it's a considerable amount.
Morrie.
Hi, Morrie.
Hi, Morrie. Hi, sweetie.